What's up, everybody? My name's Alex Hooper. This is the sort of a DFS soccer recap it'll be out on the 17th of November, Tuesday the 17th of November, big Nations League slate today. But what I wanted to do today was talk about what happened on Sunday. And on Sunday for the early Nations League slate, I decided I was going to play the big GPP, and I took it down. Won $1,000, which was dope. Made me very happy. I don't do these videos to gloat, and I'll tell you why in a second, and why that's especially so. I just wanted to do this and all of our videos really to help people who are wanting to get into DFS soccer kind of figure out how to build lineups, how to go about things. So I just wanted to go over some of my decision points and how I got to that lineup that helped me take things down. Again, like, we do these, Tom can't be here tonight, but I'm kind of helping him along for better or for worse. And honestly, it's been pretty rough for both of us, I think, to start. And that's just the peaks and valleys of DFS. So the reason I said I'm not here to gloat, even though I'm saying I won $1,000 GPP this weekend, is because what I don't say when I say I won $1,000 GPP is that I was like down $700, I think, from my last big win and when I recalibrated how I was playing. So I don't think I ever told my story on here, my DFS story, but basically at the outset of the pandemic, I started playing free Madden sims just to get some action. I wasn't playing DFS full time, yada, yada. I worked up to $30 free roll, just betting on Madden every single day, every single slate, hit a couple $5, and eventually I got there to $30. So I put 50 in on myself. I had $80, and that's when soccer came back, and I signed up over at Fantasy Sports Insight, FSI, and I've been playing soccer ever since. I've played just about every soccer slate since soccer came back in, I want to say July, but I don't know if that's the point. So anyway, I played, and I would show you my roto tracker, but I'm not on a silver subscription. I can only show you this outlier that happened the other day. But basically, I was even for months and months and months, and then I came in second in a big GPP, and I won $7,500 and lopped that off, and I've been playing at $2,000. So I was down about $1,300, and going into Sunday, I was thinking about taking a break because I played every slate. And after winning all that money, it seemed like, now that I'm readjusted and playing tougher players, that I'm not doing so hot. And that I just need a mental break to recalibrate, like I said. And sure enough, I go into Sunday, I'm like, I'm just going to play this big one. And I hit it. So the lesson there is just stick with your process. And every now and then you get lucky. I've gotten lucky a couple of times. So I'm up $300 from since I had the big hit. And we're back rolling. And then today with the USA match, I think I was down about $60. So that's just how things go. So let's get into this, and I will kind of tell the story a little further about how I pulled off this miracle on Sunday. So here we go. This is actually my first lineup. This was my main lineup, and I believe my cash lineup. So we're going to take a look at that first. It came in 26. I did well enough to, min cash here? Yeah. $20 on a $15 entry, or maybe it was double on a 10. But either way, so this was my main lineup, and we'll go over this first. Netherlands was a huge favorite on the slate, so naturally you were going to go with the pie because he takes sets full stop for both Netherlands and Lyon. It didn't really matter what his price was. You were probably going to play him here because Netherlands was such a big favorite over Bosnia and Herzegovina, whichever it is. And in full Memphis fashion, 27 points, a goal, 3 shots on goal, 4 shots, 7 crosses, yada, yada, yada. He did Memphis stuff, but he was owned by 76.2% of the field in a GPP. So essentially he did nothing for you, but if you didn't have him, you were sunk. Is it Steven Berghuis? I want to say Steven Berghuis. It is Steven. There's just a bunch of Steven Bergs over there in the Netherlands. Only 14% owned. He played wide. That was an easy play. I'm surprised he was only 14%. It was a very easy play. Again, his price at 9.5, he's not a very well-known dude, and he kind of I think normally would need that assist to get to his price point. So maybe it's not the most obvious play in the world, but he had the assists, 8 shots, 5 crosses. Again, like with a big-time favorite like that, if you hit the right wide forward especially, you're going to get points. But that price was kind of prohibitive, and we'll see that with my big lineup. Hakan Calhanoglu, I think I got it right. He was another plug-and-play for me, in cash especially. Turkey wasn't a huge favorite against Russia, but Calhanoglu, fantastic for AC Milan and kind of the setter point for Turkey. Again, a favorite, wanted to get a set taker. This was not, again, this was my cash lineup. This was not necessarily a GPP forward lineup, because when you look at some of the other pieces here, you can kind of see why. David Brooks was the big one. If David Brooks doesn't score a goal, then I'm not making this video. I'm running the hour-long video we made on Saturday where we tried to max GPPs and ran into the time limit. That was fun. And you might see that eventually, but this is taking precedence. Denzel Dumfries, again, a fullback for a big favorite. 28.5% owned. It's about right. Probably higher than I thought he would have come in at. Big fan of his. I think the world of Denzel Dumfries. I think he's a very solid player, and he had a big day. I want to say Kyle Long. I don't know this dude. It was a punt. Kevin Long. Okay. He was a punt. He was a punt correlation with my goalie. I went with Ireland, hoping maybe a 0-0 here in cash, or at least Wales get some shots on goals and get some saves. So that's really all that went into that. I don't often like to play the cheapest goalie if I don't have to, unless I think that the odds are a little closer. I didn't think that was the case with Netherlands and Bosnia. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be a work game for the cheapest keeper. So generally when you go up one keeper, that ownership drops a ton. So in GPP, I felt very comfortable playing Randolph from Ireland. And then Matt Doherty was, again, it correlated. He can score a goal. He's not a great DFS defender. He's not a great DFS wingback. He doesn't really tackle. He doesn't really cross, but he'll score a goal every now and then. He gets a little forward, especially for Ireland, and he did so in a nice stretch for Wolves, but he certainly doesn't do it for Spurs. He got that miracle cross off of Kane's head a week back or whatever and got an assist and helped me win cash games, but I shouldn't have played him because he's not a good GPP play. So, all right, so let's look at the big one. Let's see how I kind of changed that cash lineup and how I pivoted here. And you're going to see Matt Doherty again because I played him anyway. And then we'll kind of run through Brooks a little more and some of the other guys. So this was the winner. I pivoted off of Berghuis to Bale, and I went down to Gino Wijnaldum. I really didn't feel great about this. I've played Gino Wijnaldum a ton. He's normally like 3,100 for Liverpool, and I always expect him to just grab a goal, and that's going to be my low on goal, and there we go. And at 6-1, that's not a great price point for him, but they were such big favorites. I wanted to get Netherlands exposure, and sure enough, I did. And he goes and he scores 2 goals in 14 minutes. And I would say I got lucky. I definitely got lucky. I absolutely got lucky. I mean, 9.8% owned here. That price point was not great for him, and I thought maybe that's where I would get some exposure. Maybe Depay gets 3 goals and Wijnaldum assists 2. Like, that's what I was hoping for there, not 2 goals in 14 minutes or whatever he pulled off. Bale, again, I didn't really like. It was just he was kind of the other play. If you weren't going to go Berghuis, you were looking at Bale. I don't remember who started out wide on the other side for Netherlands, but I liked Bale more in this situation. And he got me the assist, but he got me the assist to David Brooks, and that's what we're going to look at really quick. So the decision point there, I can't believe it took me this long to get here. The decision point there was the original lineup projection had Brooks and Daniel James up top. It's kind of a 2-man striker situation. And both of them were supposed to take most of the sets. So all things equal except price, which is a big one. And the other one was the name recognition. Daniel James, Man United. He had a special FIFA card last year that you had to do objectives to get. Like, people know who Daniel James is. People don't necessarily know David Brooks. I think he's still with Bournemouth. I don't really even know what Brooks is up to. I think he's still with Bournemouth down in the championship now. So let's, if my scroll bar would help me here and go away so I can actually change what we're looking at. Click right here. All right, so this is where Daniel James and David Brooks each, if you look at the heat map right here, this is where they each played throughout the match yesterday. Obviously, Brooks gets the goal. Very lucky. He played more through the middle, as I'll drop this off really quick. So this is what wound up being the case. David Brooks kind of played through the middle, and Daniel James played out wide. So naturally, I would like Daniel James there. If I were building a lineup with that formation as my forecast, I probably would have played James, to be honest with you. The other thing, too, is over in FSI, I asked the Gator God, old Gator guy, I said, do you like James and it was a punt, or Brooks and Doherty more? And I expected him to say James for sure. And he said David Brooks. And I was thinking about it, and that was enough for me to go that way. And I did. And I got lucky. I got a goal out of David Brooks. So here's where he normally plays for Wales. This is another thing to take into consideration. If you can hop on the SofaScore and look at the heat maps, especially when you can look at it for Nations League, as opposed to, like, if I look at Championship in 2021, hey, look, he is indeed in the Championship this year for Bournemouth. Good. We learned something today. But he's been playing out wide. You know, I can obviously scroll down, figure out if he's taking crosses, none of them accurate, which makes him a fantastic DFS play. But this is what I'm looking at. This is how I'm making my decisions a lot of times. And here's Daniel James, mostly on the left wing for Wales so far. And then for some reason, I'm going to pull up his Premier League and see where he's at. Kind of more in the midfield. Not really doing much for them so far this year. Let's go back to this really quick. The other kind of pivot that I wanted to point out, obviously the Welsh keeper, low total. That was the thing there. There was a low total in this game. I want to say it was 2.25. Screamed 1-0 to me. And I got the goal, I got the assist, I got the clean sheet, and I got wing back who also got a clean sheet. And that's Nico Williams. So the decision there for me was, and I did it again. I can't get to my scroll bar. Thank you. So I had to make a decision between some of the defenders for Wales. That's where I was going to go. I felt good about Nico Williams, the Liverpool guy, obviously, and then I had my Spurs option in Ben Davies. Actually expected him to play more on the wing than as a center back, which is more where he played. And then Rhys Davies, who we'll get to him again in a second, but he wasn't even on my consideration list at the beginning. It was Ben Davies and Nico Williams. I thought, again, Ben Davies has the name recognition, especially to me, because I'm a Spurs guy. Nico Williams is an up-and-comer for Liverpool, but he doesn't get a lot of playing time other than the FA Cup. So I thought he would be a fine pivot play. If all things are equal, I'm trying to leverage that ownership 100 times out of 100. And let me look at the Nico is 4.6. I want to say Ben Davies was 4.8, but I could be making that up completely. I think the champ had him. Okay, so he was 4.3. So Ben Davies was actually cheaper. So egg on my face there, but 18% owned, and Nico was 13, 12.3 to 18. So yeah, so I did leverage the ownership there successfully, although maybe not as big a difference as I thought. So then obviously I'm getting the Wales correlation there, but let's take a look at one other thing that I looked at before I got in here. This was where I made the decision on Nico Williams, was right here, was the goals and assists minus penalties. I mean, Nico and David Brooks. And I mean, we're looking at a 261-minute and 178-minute sample size. That's not big enough to make these sorts of decisions, but it's the information that I had, and that's how I made the decision. Generally, you're going to want a bigger sample size than this. I generally try to only make these decisions if a guy's got like 590s under his belt at least. I think the X goals also, I mean, obviously if you score them, you're going to have a nice high XG. But that was also something that tipped me in the way of Nico Williams, as opposed to Ben Davies, that's not his guy. For Spurs, he used to get up the pitch one time, blast one into Rosette, and that was his one shot for the game. And he would take that one shot every game. And I think one time he hit the bar and it went straight down, and the announcer was like, "Oh, you should shoot more," and he shouldn't. The same thing. This is another one that I use a lot. If I'm trying to find a cheap offensive piece in a GPP, and you can get it on the RotoWire cheat sheets, you can get it team by team here on Football Reference, but shots on target for 90. I mean, that doesn't necessarily tell you who scores the goals, but it tells you who's trying. And David Brooks at 1.52, that's why I wanted to go with him over Daniel James. That was where my lean was. And then when Gator said go for it, that's why I went for it. That 1.52, I mean, above Bale, there's Nico still. And Daniel James down here at 0.23. And he's played 4.490s. So Daniel James isn't looking to put shots on goal. And this is GPP. I'm going for upside. So that's how I wound up there. There are your three defenders again. And I had Nico Williams pulled up because I wanted to show you his heat map, and then we'll get out of here. See, he gets forward for Wales. These are some nice game scores. I look at that a lot of times if I just want to see pure quality. I don't make a whole ton of calls on that. But I look at this heat map, and it felt like a Nico Williams game. And he got me 8. It's not like he broke the game for me, but he did enough to where if I would have gone Ben Davis, I would not have won. That 3-point difference was I won by 2.5. So it was a call that was necessary. Now this Matt Doherty play, 8.5% owned, probably a good number. Obviously results-wise should have been lower, but 4.9 for what Matt Doherty does, not a great call. I could have gone Ben Davis, who outscored him. I could have gone Reese Davies, who outscored him. Sure, Hofbrau had somebody who I probably could have played. Zhirkov, I mean, who doesn't love to say that? Piano Club's another guy who's real good. He is up at the top. He played Reeves Davies, smart. Demerol at Min got about the same. So I could have made a better call there. I'm surprised it didn't cost me. But again, $1,000 richer, man. And that's how I did it. I shouldn't say that's how I did it because I didn't really do it. David Brooks really did it for me. Gino Wijnaldum did it for me by the PB principle. I should be buying a Gino Wijnaldum Netherlands jersey because you got to buy the jersey of the guy who takes down the GPP for you. Is $1,000 enough to justify buying that jersey? Depends on where you buy the jersey. But I might be getting that Gino jersey at some point. I've played him enough. I think I need him. So those are my decision points. And again, like I'm not necessarily the guy to go to for the best information. The best information you're going to find over at Fantasy Sports Insight. That's where I've been. I have profited almost $9,000 playing soccer over there as a guy who began 4 or 5 months ago. I put a lot of time in it. It's a grind. It's mentally very tough. It's a lose, especially once you get up into a higher bracket and you're playing tougher opponents. I was ready to stop, man. I was talking about it on Saturday night. And then this just happened. But the information that you can get over at FSI, and I just say this because I love it over there. The community's great. The people are great. I've learned so much. They don't pay me. But I've made a lot of money because of them. And I just wanted y'all to see what I have picked up from over there, the tools I've learned, the places I go, the decision points that I arrive at, and how I make these kind of decisions. And how I've managed to win almost $9,000, $1,000 on Sunday. So feeling good, feeling great. I'm Alex Hooper. Follow me on Twitter at Lex Hooper. I like to talk a lot of soccer DFS. That's just about all I talk about on Twitter nowadays, and I don't get a whole lot of interaction because my follower base is elsewhere. So please come talk fantasy soccer with me and head over to FSI. Join that group. You want to learn. That's the place to go. Premier League back next weekend. I think Tom and I will be back. I don't plan on quitting anytime soon now that I'm back in the black. So until then, I will talk to you. Any questions, ask them in the comments. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know the whole spiel. I don't need to tell you, but interact with me. I love to talk about it. So let's learn something. And I hope you did with this video. Thanks for tuning in.